Hansford.
I'm Kaylin Potts.
My name is Strohmetz.
And we chose to do work on the NSA for our Rec and Eco project this year for a couple of reasons. On a personal level, I've been I've been concerned about the NSA for quite a while now. Last year, I was the student liaison in charge of keeping up with the nature study area. And I'd also worked kind of closely with Daniel at the NSA, a professor who was kind of informally in charge of the NSA a little bit. And through working with him, I was able to learn a little bit of the ins and outs and get a good tab going of projects that we wanted to get done but hadn't gotten to yet. So we wanted to take this opportunity to try and get some of those done.
We had painted the trash can and the kiosk. It's important to keep the wood in good shape, because a lot of people view the kiosk for one. It shows you navigation around the NSA, things that are around it, and then it also helps direct contact from the sunlight and moisture, because the wood after a year, if it's not protected, it can start to rot a little bit, stuff like that. So it's important to keep it presentable, since there is a lot of traffic of people coming in and out, whether it's with classes or just to enjoy the area in general. And there's a kiosk. It was nice and painted, keeping the wood protected, so when visitors come and see it, it looks nice and it's in good shape, and it also reduces maintenance costs in the future, and that's always a goal for the club. We also clean out the birdhouses. Not all bird species clean out the nesting materials in between clutches, such as bluebirds, and so it's important to keep them cleaned out, because over time the nest can build up, and then parasites can form within these nests. They can get nasty, moldy. Also, the buildup of them can create the eggs, or cause the eggs to be closer to the entrance hole. And so there's more of a possibility that predators can kind of get in there, get those eggs. So it's always important to always just clean them out and keep them nice and clean for the birds.
One of the first things that we worked on was cleaning up the dam a little bit. We removed some of the woody species and invasive plants from the dam. Woody species in particular can cause damage to the dam. The roots persist and kind of break up the soil that makes the dam. And once it starts breaking up, then the water can leak through, causing it to be damaged, and that washouts can occur. Some of the species that we removed were eastern baccharis, Chinese tallow, red maple, and pecans. And we also, those invasive species we got rid of that we saw. And to make sure that those plants had died fully, we applied herbicide on them. So we used the lopper and cut the tops off. And then the little stump at the bottom, we sprayed herbicide with a little spray bottle. And this right here is the pathway along one of the trails. We swept it off and got all the pine straw and leaves off, so that that wood can last longer. If the pine straw and leaves stay on it, then it can lead to more rotting because of the moisture that's trapped in there.
Another thing we did was to actually finish a bridge that was placed temporarily in by our technician, Dana Lawson. If you visited the bridge before, you would have noticed that there was a bridge there, but it was more or less a jigsaw puzzle of some plywood that we had laying around. It was something that we just put together at a short notice to help keep students safe in the area. What happened right here on this section of the trail, if you look just to the left of the bridge, you can see that there's a hole there. A couple of years ago, that wasn't there. Erosion from the hills above this little structure formed an underground waterway right here, and the roots were the only thing holding it together. And it began to cave in through students walking on it and horses walking on it. So for liability reasons and for the safety of the students, we decided to put in a bridge here. So we were able to take that plywood off, the multiple layers of plywood, and actually replace it with good exterior decking boards that will absolutely outlast that plywood and make that bridge much, much safer for the students. Another thing we did was we were able to clear around some of our, for lack of a better term, special plants that we have both planted and found along the trails and throughout the rest of the NSA. I believe the picture on the right there, no, the left there, I think that's actually a Fothergilla, and the bottom right photo, I believe that's one of our Georgia fever barks. One thing that we've done is we've placed some species that are either rare in our area or rare in general for students to be able to learn from. But one thing that we've had happen in the past is during our cleanup days, we've actually had students mistakenly go through and cut down some of these rare and or expensive plants. So to help prevent something like that from happening again, we flagged the plants pretty heavily. Some of them had flags on them already, but many of them did not. And another thing we did was we cleared around them, both to help these plants thrive, as well as make them stand out so people would recognize that these things were not just weeds popping up with everything else, that they were important and they needed to stay. Another thing we did was we created, for all intents and purposes, a trail and a half, really, to the left side of the dam. What we did was we looked at the poster on the kiosk. We actually have a map there. It's a little outdated, but I hope that we're able to get a more updated map in there pretty soon. But we looked at it, and we noticed that there used to be, according to the map, a trail that connected an old boardwalk to really the kiosk, as well as a trail that connected to dam from that boardwalk. So we were able to go in, and we more or less were able to follow the old trail and clear that out quite a bit. But as you see on that right picture there was actually quite a few trees down over that old trail, as well as a bunch of small woody debris and tons of herbaceous plants. So what we did was we went in with equipment, weed eaters, loppers, and some herbicide, and we cleaned those out. We actually got Dan's help to remove the trees. But one thing that's important now is that if we do it right, these trails, like so many of our other trails, are able to actually be maintained by the mower. So if we keep on it and we keep mowing these trails, we won't have to come back in here with this heavy equipment. One on this trail that we cleaned up, actually just past the boardwalk that Kaylin talked about earlier, we have a very large poison sumac that we make a point to make the trail to go to. It's a fairly rare plant that we have here, and pesky one if you don't know what it is. But we try and maintain around it for our dendrology students to be able to learn from. But in the process of clearing the trail that went to it, we actually found there was a little bit of recruitment going on there. A young poison sumac tree popped up just a few feet away, and it almost was bad. I almost missed it with the weed eater, and I was wearing shorts. So that would have not been fun for myself had I found that. But we were able to clear around it and flag it so people would not mistakenly cut it down themselves. But that was just one of the cool things that we noticed on the trail there.
And one thing that I did was I got the weed eater and made the trails behind the Georgia fever bark that's out on the other end of the NSA. So I got back there, and before there was a whole bunch of footpaths that went in all kinds of different directions, but the grass had grown up a lot. So I got in there, opened it up a little bit, cleared it out, and made one path all the way to where it goes to the prairie. There were some logs in the way that I wasn't able to get to because I didn't have a chainsaw, but I did the best that I could in the time that I had, and I got right up to the edge and just made one really good open path.
We had also cleaned the flower beds, and it's actually a little memorial site almost for a student who had passed away a few years back. It has a lot of different flowers, but a lot of the weeds that were cleared out were like blackberry, other certain types too, but obviously from all of this, the whole thing is just really important to maintain because a lot of people come through. It's a learning environment. If you want students to learn a certain species, they need to be able to have access to it. Things need to be kind of presentable a little bit. If there's visitors who aren't on campus and I've never seen it before. But the NSA is just really important. And without maintenance, it'd be kind of hard to learn from it, basically.
A couple of other things that we did around the pond were we weeded it near the edge of the pond where we can't get to with the mower because of all the cypress knees. As well as while we were working in the NSA, every time we saw an invasive woody species, we cut it down and treated it with herbicide. And all of these things are important, like Graceland said, to help maintain the NSA so that both students and visitors are able to enjoy it safely and effectively, so that students and visitors alike can get everything that we can offer out of the NSA, as well as keeping it healthy. Washouts were just one thing that we shouldn't have let get so far, but it did. So we had to build a bridge. But it's work days like this and projects like this that are actually what keep the NSA, for all intents and purposes, spinning. If we didn't have students working at the NSA like we do, I couldn't imagine what it would look like. But I guess since nobody's here to ask me any questions, that means that nobody has any. So with that, we will say thank you and have a good one.